Not a lot of people know that WWE television feeds run on a 5-second delay, giving production enough time to censor anything they don't want the home audience to see or hear. However, even the lightning-quick fingers of Kevin Dunn aren't fast enough to catch every single slip-up. From human immolation to superstars bearing it all, here are 10 moments WWE forgot to censor, starting with number 10, Jacqueline slips up. Looking back, Jacqueline was the glue that held the women's division of the Attitude Era together. She was fit, muscular, and the only woman on the whole roster who could actually wrestle. She also got naked the most. There have been a few instances of Jacqueline exposing herself to the world, but the most memorable, uncensored moment came at Capital Carnage in 1998. Jacqueline and Sable were in a feud that featured just as much nudity as it did wrestling, and after Sable's shenanigans helped her pick up the win, Jacqueline attacked referee Tim White in frustration. Tim tried to escape, but Jacqueline ended up on his shoulders, as is totally normal to happen. Sable used Jacqueline's perilous state to her advantage, pulling her top down and exposing the twins to the whole world. Number 9, CM Punk takes a CM dump. To date, very few wrestlers have soiled themselves on camera, but as with a lot of things in wrestling, CM Punk is the exception. In December 2013, CM Punk was dealing with a staph infection, but rather than give him time off, WWE doctors pumped him full of Z-Paks, which are the antibiotics used to treat Punk's condition. The primary use of Z-Paks is to make a person poop, so the medicine worked. It just worked at the worst possible time. During a match with Dean Ambrose on SmackDown, CM Punk lost control and dropped a log into his trunks that later fell out into the ring. The referee, the real hero of the story, grabbed Punk's crap with his bare hands and launched it out of the ring without missing a beat. None of it was censored, but to be fair, by that point WWE were probably used to dealing with CM Punk's crap. Number 8, Stephanie McMahon misses her cue. During the Invasion storyline, The Rock and Chris Jericho formed an unlikely partnership that resulted in some super memorable promos. On an episode of Raw, Shane McMahon, Booker T, and Stephanie McMahon were engaged in a war of words with the Rock-Jericho alliance as they tried to outdo each other with rhymes. Referencing Booker T and Shane, The Rock called them the punk-ass sucker and the silver spoon mother effer, except he said the F part. Steph tried to cut The Rock off before he delivered the would-be curse word, but she missed her cue, so The Rock had to somehow finish the line without actually saying it.
The punk-ass sucker and the silver spoon motherfucker!
Well, that's enough!
He didn't manage to pull it off, and we can't blame WWE production for this one, since really it was Steph's slip-up. Number 7, Scott Steiner is just Scott Steiner. When you hire Scott Steiner, expect the Scott Steiner to show up. When it comes to not giving a damn, the genetic freak is in a league of his own. The man cuts promos with unrivaled intensity and believability, but the words are either in the wrong order or laden with expletives. When Scott Steiner returned to the WWE at Survivor Series 2002, he punctuated his return in the most Scott Steiner way possible. After laying out Matt Hardy, Steiner turned to the personnel at ringside and screamed, "Gimme an effing mic." Usually, curse words go under the radar because they're either censored before they reach the TV feed or because they're not loud enough for the panoramics to pick up. But Scott Steiner's profanity was pretty damn obvious to everyone watching. WWE are doubly to blame here, because not only did they forget to censor Steiner's comment, but expecting Big Papa Pump to be anything but reckless was just wishful thinking. Number 6, the live Lita celebration. Edge and Lita's live sex session from 2006 is fondly remembered because it was pure car crash television. To celebrate Edge's recent championship win, the two decided to knock boots right in the middle of the ring for reasons that were never really made clear. However, most of us weren't complaining. After the real-life couple got under the sheets, John Cena came out to interrupt, briefly turning himself heel for the single evening. When Edge emerged from the sheets, Lita inadvertently flashed the camera in a moment that wasn't censored at the time, but has been cut from the WWE network today. This one was a pure accident, so WWE tried to pretend it never happened. However, we all saw it. Number 5, Fred Durst flips the bird. Years after providing Biker Taker's entrance theme, at SummerSlam 2012, Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst made his triumphant return to the WWE, but not as a performer. Instead, he was front row in the crowd, and when the camera panned to him, Durst did what he does best and flipped off the world. The television feed just kept rolling, leaving Fred Durst's middle finger salute completely uncensored. It seemed Durst was still stuck in 1999 because he apparently wasn't aware of WWE's new PG standards, which meant any kind of profanity was strictly prohibited. Kevin Dunn, WWE's EVP of television production, was apparently so furious that he literally broke stuff, then told security to escort Durst out of the building. It was really just petty on WWE's part and showcased just how out of touch they'd become. The main event of SummerSlam 2012 saw Brock Lesnar try to break Triple H's arm, but one of the world's biggest rock stars flipping the bird was apparently a step too far. Number 4, Mae Young grosses us out. The Divas era was in full swing during the heyday of 2000, so to make it as a female superstar in WWE, you really only needed 2 very large things. At that year's Royal Rumble, everyone's favorite sex offender, Jerry Lawler, hosted a swimsuit competition that saw all of the divas on the roster flaunt their ravishing figures for Lawler's approval. It was classically tasteless, but subtlety was not a strong point in the Attitude Era. Mae Young, the female wrestling legend, also took part in this swimsuit competition despite being 76 years old at the time. She was obviously only there for comedy relief, but Mae Young had made a career off being tough as nails, so when she dedicated herself to a segment, she went all the way. The swimsuit competition ended with the elderly granny exposing herself to the world before Mark Henry rushed to the ring to cover her up. We won't describe the incident in detail because lifelong WWE fans have spent the last 23 years trying to forget that it happened. Number 3, William Regal's crown jewels. For a sport that mostly involves men in underwear rolling around with other men in underwear, we should have seen a lot more package slips than we actually have. In fact, throughout WWE's entire television history, we've only ever seen 1 case of male belongings being on full display. Even more bizarrely, it actually occurred in a backstage segment rather than in the ring. At the No Mercy pay-per-view in 2006, the backstage cameras caught William Regal exiting the shower alongside forgotten Ruthless Aggression star Big Vito, who was portrayed as being rather well endowed. This caused Regal to flee the shower in embarrassment, but on his way out, his towel slipped and gave us all an uncensored glimpse of the royal scepter in all its glory. It was completely unplanned according to Regal, as he was supposed to secure his towel much tighter than he did. Number 2, The Undertaker gets set on fire. During the 2010 Elimination Chamber match, production botched The Undertaker's pyro on his way to the ring, literally setting him on fire and leaving him with second-degree burns on his chest. The horrifying moment was caught on camera, showcasing an unusually panicked Undertaker rushing out of the flames towards the ring. Ever the professional, the dead man somehow managed to stay in character throughout the terrible mishap, then going on to wrestle a 40-minute match. To make matters worse, Undertaker had had an altercation with the same pyrotechnics guy only a few weeks before as well. Undertaker was concerned that the pyro was being placed too close to him on the ramp and requested that they move it further away. During the chamber match, Taker informed officials that if the pyro guy was still backstage when he got out, he was planning on killing him. Fortunately for the unnamed technician, Vince McMahon fired him on the spot. Number 1, The Cat bears it all. At Armageddon 1999, the rules for the Divas match were simple. The 4 contestants had to disrobe each other, and the last clothed person standing was the winner. The Cat, formerly Miss Kitty, undressed Jacqueline, Barbara Bush, and Ivory for the so-called victory. But such a momentous win was caused for a massive celebration. The Cat put an exclamation point on her win by pulling off her bra and leaving nothing to the imagination. Sergeant Slaughter rushed in to cover the goods, much to the dismay of the male audience worldwide. According to the cat herself, she was never meant to fully expose herself on camera, but production picked up the wrong angle. The cameras were supposed to be on the cat's back, so only a section of the audience would see her fully naked before Slaughter covered her up. That concludes our list of top 10 moments WWE forgot to censor. Did we miss any? Let us know in the comments below.